Hello all, thank you so much for joining us with the Community Efficiency Leadership Coalition webinar series. Today is our topic is Energy Efficiency Made Easy, SECO Resources for Texas. This session will take a deep dive into SECO's flagship Texas LoanSTAR Saving Taxes and Resources Revolving Loan Program, which offers financing for energy-related retrofit projects across public school districts, colleges, universities, and local governments. You'll learn how to access this funding and make meaningful upgrades to your facilities, whether you're a city official, school administrator, or a facilities manager. And this webinar will help equip you with the tools and contacts to make the next step in your energy efficiency journey. This webinar is eligible for ICC continuing education units. And by the end of the session, there's several objectives you'll be able to take further. And that's just sort of funding, the technical assistance available, and then also have the resource to explore other upcoming SECO programs. I'm going to talk a little bit about our agency. This webinar series is sponsored by the State Energy Conservation Office and the uh, um, Houston Advanced Research Center. But SPEAR, we are the ones hosting it, and it's the Southern Central Partnership for Energy Efficiency as a Resource. We're a membership-based organization, includes manufacturers, cities, universities, and more, and we support energy management efforts for entities across the state and strengthening relationships among local governments through also the Community Efficiency Leadership Coalition, a program that I manage. We are one of 6 regional energy efficiency organizations in the nation. We're a nonprofit, 501c3. We support Texas and Oklahoma, where our major funders are the Department of Energy and the State Energy Conservation Office. So when you reach out to us, we really are providing educational resources at no cost through our funding mechanisms. And I wanted to mention real quick before we get started, upcoming events with CLC. We have monthly webinars and roundtables. Webinars such as this one. We have the next 2. One will be on innovative ideas for energy efficiency outside the building envelope, as well as focusing on air quality and having a better understanding. That's in July. And then I wanted to highlight SPEAR. We have an annual industry and policy workshop. It will be in Austin, Texas at the AT&T Hotel and Conference Center. And if you are a member of this Community Efficiency Leadership Coalition, we also have a special tour of the University of Texas campus of their power generation plant, as well as an in-person meeting. So pretty exciting. Couple of housekeeping items. Questions are welcome in the chat. Please put them in the chat. And then presentations will be posted on our website, as well as the recording will be posted on our YouTube channel, where we have over 160 training videos. We will provide a survey in the chat and then also in a follow-up email within 3 days. And if you are getting ICC CEUs, they'll be mailed out within 3 days once you've completed the survey. All right, so you're welcome to use the chat or the question and answer box. But without further ado, I'd like to present our 2 speakers. Both of them are from the State Energy Conservation Office and the Government Affairs and Programs Division. Adam Mueller, he has been at SECO for over 3 years and manages the LoanSTAR program, Emerging Clean Energy Technology Program, and a variety of other programs at the SECO office. Previously, he worked in the private sector in energy consulting, and he graduated from Trinity University with a degree in environmental studies and business. Benjamin Tedley, he is a program specialist as well at the State Energy Conservation Office. He co-manages the LoanSTAR Revolving Loan Program and is preparing to launch the SECO's administration of the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act Energy Efficiency Revolving Loan Fund Program. Benjamin also joined SECO after graduating from Rice University in 2024, earning degrees in mathematics and economics. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that way you all can get started, and very excited to learn more about the LoanSTAR program.
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining today. Of course, thank you to Spear and Sean for organizing this. Happy to be here. Happy to share this information and these resources with everyone. I'll be talking about Lone Star, and then Benjamin will talk a little bit about our technical assistance program. We co-manage the Lone Star Loan Fund here at SECO, State Energy Conservation Office. As Sean mentioned, I'm there's my name right there, and my title program specialist. Been with the office for over 3 years now, and really enjoyed my time here at SECO, and we work on a lot of meaningful projects, and we'll be talking about a couple of those today. So I will move forward in the slides here. Let's see if I can get that to work. There we go. Okay, so Lone Star. What is Lone Star? It is low interest reimbursement based loans for public entities to complete energy retrofit projects. So we're not talking about new build or anything like that. These are retrofits on existing buildings. We'll talk a little bit more about eligibility and requirements for the program. The loans are based really on these UCRMs, what we call utility cost reduction measures, where the dollars saved from these measures actually will pay back the loan. So no money expended, right? No extra funds expended here. The dollars you'll be saving will pay back the loan amount that was taken out. It is first come, first serve, so we will talk a little bit about our application process online. It is a revolving loan program. As I mentioned, this is something that we open up every year. It's not always the same every year, so there'll be slight changes. And when I say every year, I mean every fiscal year. So this current year's program will end August 31st, as long as we still have funding available. The last couple years, it's been pretty popular. So the we've actually expended all of our funds early in the year. This year, not so much. Part of that is because we were delayed in FY25 because funds were expended rapidly in FY24. So as you can see here, the most common borrowers, public entities in the state, your local governments, K through 12, universities, and state agencies. Some summary statistics, a little bit out of date, but gives you a good idea. As of September 2023, as you can see, the amount of loans, amount of money financed, and amount of money saved. So we really like to show this off. These are great numbers and continues to be a great program. The big appeal of Lone Star really is that low interest rate, usually between 1.5 and 3%. It's really hovered around that 1 to 2.5% in the last couple of years. Simple payback is going to be 15 years or less. That's a key requirement here, and we go into that repayment period following the completion of construction. So we send over that loan repayment schedule once the project is complete. I talked about some of the requirements, eligibility, things for Lone Star. Here are some of the key points. Permanently affixed. Public entity must own and occupy the facility. And another key piece here, along with that 15-year or less payback period, is the payback of each UCRM. And we're talking about just an example, maybe lighting, HVAC renovations, anything like that. The payback on those must be equal to or less than the estimated useful life of that measure, right? So we don't want something to be in it, and I'm just thinking sometimes it can be chillers or HVAC renovations, or sometimes solar, where the payback is pretty long. Maybe can extend out beyond that 15-year mark. We just want to make sure that per UCRM that it is equal to or less than the estimated useful life. Also included here pretty much the big four of the sort of project approaches that we use: the design build, design bid build, ESPC, and commissioning. We contract with three third-party engineering firms who are experts in the technical guidelines of the program. So they will conduct reviews at every stage of LoanSTAR. Here are some projects I talked about: the lighting and the HVAC. Those are the two big ones. As you can see, there's also building optimization, energy management systems, load management, and commissioning. Those are really the big ones that we work on. But really, it's any utility conservation retrofit measure that fits in sort of the requirements that I've been talking about. We have sort of three general buckets. 1 and 2 are the current active programs. 3 is a program that we ran, I guess that was 2 years ago, the Cool Chillers program. I'll talk a little bit about that. We may reopen that in the future. That's why it's included on this presentation. The flagship LoanSTAR, that's the interest rate of 2.5%. There's no minimum loan amount. The maximum loan amount is $6 million. These are 1-year project terms. Now, oftentimes there is a need to extend, and we can extend past that 12-month term. This is really the funding pool that is most popular. These funds don't come with any additional reporting outside of our office's requirements. So it's much easier to manage, I think, from our perspective and from the vendor's perspective. But as you can see there, some requirements. Also, in terms of this year, if we're talking about this year, the limit on amount of loans that an entity can take out in terms of this flagship program is just 1. Overall, 2. So you can either take 1 from the LoanSTAR sort of flagship funds, and then 1 from ARA, and I'm just about to talk about ARA, or you can take 2 of these ARA loans out. And these are funds from the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, I believe of 2009. And so these are federal funds, whereas the previous one, those are going to be state funds. This has a lower interest rate, generally about a percentage point lower than the flagship program. However, there are some additional requirements, and oftentimes this ARA versus normal LoanSTAR SEP funds is generally a question of an entity's ability to administrative ability, really. And the big point here is the higher reporting burden. And there's a few things involved. As you can see there, Davis-Bacon payroll is required for any labor done on the construction site. So we have to check those wage rates. In addition to that is the requirements for the NEPA, in National Environmental Policy Act, and Buy American requirements. So all equipment for the project must fall under that Buy American compliance. These loans also have to be a bit bigger. So you see there's a minimum loan amount and maximum loan amount. Generally, these funds are less popular, so there's more of these funds available. So if you have the administrative ability to take on this additional reporting, then this is a good option because there's more funds there, and you can take 2 of these loans, at least in this current fiscal year program. As I said, each year the requirements might change a little bit. The Cool Chillers program, again, not currently active, but it was so popular that we may reopen in the future. Even lower interest rate, 0.25%, no minimum loan amount, maximum loan amount a little bit lower. We limited the amount of loans per entity at 2, so sort of similar there. And this is specifically for replacement of older chillers and associated equipment. So it's sort of hyper specific in this way. It's got to be like for like replacement. And these projects, at least that initial term, we gave a 24-month leeway there. And I'll tell you now, working on those projects, even those we've had to extend at points just because of lead time with equipment, which used to be much worse than it is now, but it still is with some of this heavy duty chiller equipment can take some time. So if we talk about the application process for LoanSTAR, and I'll show you, I think in a couple slides here, our website. You can just Google SECO Texas and this will come up. But the application on our website here must be submitted with or without a utility assessment report. So that utility assessment report needs to be done by a professional engineer. That is what we then review. Now, the application does not always need to be submitted. There's a question I get a lot. So do we need to submit this application with a utility assessment report all the time? No. It can be submitted with a memorandum of understanding, MOU, and so then we give you 140 days to complete that UAR and hold that funding that you apply for. The utility assessment report is sort of like our version of investment grade audit, and that is reviewed by our third-party engineers. Now, Benjamin will talk about sort of a pre-step you can take if you can't take that first step with the UAR if you have no idea what you could retrofit in your facilities. Then the technical assistance portion that Benjamin is going to talk about is a great first step where we have our engineers come out actually and assess your facilities and then see what can fit in the LoanSTAR program. So that's a great first step to lead into this application process. Whether or not there's a UAR included in the application, we still need to see the UCRMs that are included. Buy downs and O&M savings are acceptable. So this again is a question that comes up sometimes. For example, let's say there is a combination of lighting, solar, HVAC, whatever it is, and the payback is not fitting into that 15-year or less requirement. Well, you can buy down a portion of the project, right? So that it fits under the LoanSTAR guidelines. Of course, we don't want that to be more than 50% of the UCRMs. We don't want that to be more than 50% of the project, right? We want this project to, actually be having a significant effect and be really saving some money. So your initial outlay is not so great, but it is an available option. This sort of shows the process from the beginning. This is, I don't know if design review process really the best wording for this. This is the initial review process. So the UAR is submitted. Our engineers will review that UAR. Once they have approved that, then we will create that loan agreement and execute that, kick off with the entity and talk about the project. Once the project is kicked off, agreement is signed, We go into a couple of phases of review. The first phase is the design review, and this needs to be completed before we can reimburse any money. Our engineers will conduct 50 and 100% design reviews. That's also the case with construction, 50 and 100%, where our engineers will actually go to the site and assess the retrofits being done. Once that 100% design review, or I should say construction review, is complete, got that final completion report, all reimbursements are made, we can then go into loan repayment, and our accounting office will send that loan repayment schedule. Quarterly payments, I should say too, that interest, and I believe this is, yeah, this next slide will talk about that a little bit. The interest will not begin accruing until that first request for reimbursement is made. So we sort of act like a bank here, right? Where there's a line of credit established. That interest will only accrue on the money that has been reimbursed. Once the last reimbursement is paid, that interest will freeze and the loan payback period begins. No penalties for prepayment. And as I said, it's a quarterly payment. Here's that website that I was talking about earlier. Again, SECO, Texas. All of our funding opportunities are posted on our website. Always just a good thing to monitor. You can also sign up for alerts. It's not on this snapshot here, but when you scroll down to the bottom of the page, there's a little sign up for alerts tab, and you can click that and make sure that you get emailed whenever there's a new funding available. As I said, LoanSTAR is generally always open unless funding has been fully expended, and we post that on the website if that's the case, and that is the case right now, that it is open and funding is available. And I have a little questions tab here. I don't know if we want to save that till the end. Also, my contact there, and a little friendly QR code. So yeah, I will, if there are no questions, I can hand it over to Benjamin.
Okay, so as Adam was talking about earlier, I'm kind of presenting on Lone Star's kind of pre-step. So I'll have a presentation as well that I think Adam is gonna share the screen. If you'll go to the next slide, just an overview of this program that I manage. It's going to be our no-cost technical assistance opportunities. So we understand that our office can finance a lot of projects, especially with Lone Star. That's really well utilized vehicle for that. But what do you do if you just don't know what kind of projects are available at your location, at your sites, whatever those may be? So we have two opportunities, kind of serve different purposes slightly, but both contribute to being able to identify a project, identify a retrofit, and just get some technical expertise on behalf of the state. So who can apply for this? Well, it's the same people who can apply for Lone Star. Our office works with public entities, so our most common recipients of this no-cost service are school districts. We get lots of cities, of course, also lots of state agencies and local governments. So if you go to the next slide, preliminary energy assessment. So this is potentially the more popular form of technical assistance that we provide with our third-party engineers. And this is the option that you would take if you just have no clue what energy efficiency opportunities there are at your location. So what does this include? Well, it's not necessarily an investment grade audit, but it's a preliminary audit. So they'll analyze, our third-party engineers will analyze utility bills, they'll conduct a site visit, and they'll produce a report that says, we kind of briefly looked at this program, we briefly looked at your location, and here's what kind of sticks out to us. So if you'll go to the next slide, please. What does this process look like? Well, thankfully, it's very simple. Through our website, you will submit a one-page application for a preliminary energy assessment. After we receive that, we will go ahead and assign that application to one of our third-party engineers. You'll be hearing from them pretty soon after. They'll reach out and say, hey, we're assigned to you, really looking forward to doing this PEA. We just need some utility bills and some other kind of data before coming out and seeing the site. They come out, they see the site, and give it a few weeks, a preliminary energy assessment is completed. So if you'll go to the next slide, we can see this very nice looking one-page application. It really is very simple. It's just contact information, just a few questions and a signature. There's a QR code for more information about PEAs, but we really appreciate the fact that with preliminary energy assessments, you could have a school district who has no clue what they would do with SECO funding. And through this no-cost service, after just applying and getting this PEA, they might have a better idea of what they can do. So they get the PEA, and what we would love is that they apply for a LoanSTAR loan to actually realize the project. Now, I will say one kind of caveat with both of these, yes, for technical assistance as well, is going to be, you know, these no-cost services, we of course can't make anyone do anything with them, but it is a kind of good faith agreement that with these services, you will use them for something, right? We understand that it's easy to get a report and kind of stow it away on a shelf, um, but we really do appreciate the follow-up that can come after both of these services are provided. So with technical assistance, again, serving a very similar kind of mission that preliminary energy assessments do, but this is um, geared towards a different audience. So preliminary energy assessments are for those who just, they don't know. They know they have a site, but they don't know what could be identified. They don't know a project yet. They might have some idea, but really not specific knowledge. Technical assistance, on the other hand, is really more geared towards those who have a project in mind or a kind of challenge identified. They need some assistance, just general kind of technical assistance on something. So this is really for those who have something already identified and just need some engineers, right? Some energy engineers that we can provide. And this could take a great number of forms. Let's say that you're really oriented towards getting Energy Star certified on some of your buildings, and maybe there's a few remaining buildings you're not just sure how to push it across the finish line. That's a very targeted goal, and that would be more applicable for technical assistance for applying for that. Maybe you know that the HVAC needs to be replaced. You have some design for an HVAC project, and you're just not sure. Maybe even you're not sure if this could apply for Lone Star. Um, we could provide technical assistance. It's very much a kind of boutique service. So technical assistance reports might look different depending on each project. Next slide, please. The process, thankfully, is basically identical to preliminary energy assessments. It's a one-page application you'll submit. We will assign that entity an engineer to perform that technical assistance. And sometimes the site a site visit is necessary, sometimes not. So that'll be coordinated between both parties. And then it'll result in a report, just like a preliminary energy assessment. But this will again be more tailored towards the needs of the applicant. Next slide, please. Just another look. Even the application looks pretty much identical, very easy, some contact information, a description of what you need, so that description of technical assistance needs, and some questions, a signature, and you're there. There's the QR code, and I know that my next slide is just for questions, so I understand that was pretty brief, but in our office, we really do appreciate this program. Um, we appreciate that we have the funding to pay for these engineering services, and that we can kind of relieve some of the burden um, for all of you to receive some technical expertise. So there's my contact information. Please feel free to email me, and just like with Adams, there's a handy QR code if you want to sign up for updates.
Well, while we're waiting for questions from the audience, I have a few. So, so
Great.
I'm really curious. We presented at the Texas Energy Managers Association, I guess a month or two ago. And one thing that it was kind of a SECO showcase in the room that we were in. And one thing that the director mentioned, Eddie Trevino, is how successful this program is and how much of a return the state receives from the participation and people having cost savings from utilizing these funds to then invest into their operations. So I was wondering if you wouldn't mind giving a couple examples of some of your partners or entities that have participated and kind of what they've utilized it for. Uh,
Yeah, it's a good question. Specifically, I'm, just sort of thinking off the top of my head. A lot of the projects we work with are with school districts, and oftentimes rural school districts, and that can be very simple, where it's just lighting, like just putting LED lighting in, or like I said, updating the HVAC. But yeah, we also work with cities and universities. Just finished a project with, or currently working on a project with Texas State University, to replace a boiler in their system. So that's one that comes off, that I'm thinking about right now. Um, Benjamin, I don't know if you have any examples that you're thinking about. I mean, state agencies as well, right? We work with Texas Facilities Commission on their facilities. So yeah, that's a big vendor as well.
And I'll just add really quickly that one of the best parts about the Lone Star program is that you could look at the investment in the loan, and you could do a very strict, like, dollar for dollar, how much could this save over some lifetime, and it would be a very positive figure. But like Adam was saying, we work with lots of school districts and lots of hospitals, publicly owned hospitals, and there are other things that are just not being measured, like um, what is the effect of good lighting in a school? What is the effect of a comfortable school environment with a new HVAC system? And so there's tremendous benefit just from a numbers standpoint, but also um, we really value the fact that there's some kind of unmeasurable benefits as well.
mhm. Yeah, there was an example, I believe, given by Casey in one of the school districts where they actually had a room, and it was the teachers. kind of like their workshop room where they had all
Yeah.
their resources, and they
Hmm.
didn't utilize the space because there wasn't any lighting in that space. And so when they went through the LED lighting retrofit, the teachers just commented about how great now they have the space to use and we're able to utilize the resources that were in the room. And it's something that we don't always think about, is that there are times where facilities maintenance, it's a lot of work. And when you start thinking to yourself, okay, I need to approach this project, but there's so many layers to it and the costs increase, that you do need support. And it's great to have the Lone Star program to help support that. What was another example Casey used that was really fantastic with the school districts? There, just the lighting change in the gymnasiums is just amazing.
Yeah,
And
there's a project actually working on right now where it's there are some offices that don't have um, basically don't have AC. There's a few administrative folks that don't, whether it's the part of the facility they're in or something, it's just they don't get a lot of airflow. And this is the HVAC retrofits we worked on with them basically has brought cold air into their offices, right? So and when you're talking about a hot Texas summer, that is absolutely crucial. I mean, I couldn't imagine. Working in an office without AC when we get up into these triple digit temperatures. So that's an example I thought of as well. But yeah, gymnasium is a great example where it's just the facilities have become so, yeah, decrepit, frankly, that it's just like they're just not used. And just these, sometimes simple projects can just make a world of difference. Yeah, for these entities.
I did quite a bit of work previously within parks, and community centers are the pillars of most communities in providing resources for seniors and youth. What happens in some communities is those community centers don't always get the funds to have a good maintain their HVAC and their chiller systems. So there are times where they have to shut their doors because they don't have air conditioning, because maybe the system goes out. And it is used as a refuge, really, for the community sometimes for some community members who don't have air conditioning. So I think it's really interesting. And this would be a great way to have funding to help with that issue.
Right.
Um, well, I don't see any other questions, so I don't want to put you all on the spot, but I do have uh, two other questions, one for each of you. And that is, I always find myself very curious on how, you get to this path, and what do you find interesting about your work? And since we don't have any questions, I'd like to present that to you all. So I'll start with you, Adam.
Yeah.
And kind of, I know that you do a little improv, so putting you on the spot first, it gives Benjamin some time to think about it. But really, like, what do you find that really cultivates your interest in your current position, and how did you get here?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, gosh, it started um probably I was a teenager. And I don't remember exact. I think it was probably a piece on PBS actually that was about the environment and energy and just sort of what the future looked like. And I thought, wow, that is very important. That that seems to be the most important issue in the world. Is our environment and energy that we use. And so that sort of fed into what I studied in college. I sort of tried to have almost like um, a practical sense of it. So I did environmental studies and business to sort of approach it from both sides, and went into energy consulting afterwards, and just wanted to get into the space because I think it's something that is, yeah, we the lights are on, and we kind of just go about our day, and we have AC, and that's all great, and we, it's not something we think about too much. And this, as we talk more about alternative, sources of energy, and then just these in terms of what SECO does. And sometimes I think it's hard for us to, and Eddie, our director, will mention this a lot, is because we get maybe bogged down in these contracts that we're working on, and managing these programs. It's that feedback we do get, and you touched on it a little bit. We will sometimes, we ask after our projects for everyone to sort of send us feedback, and it's the from those small school districts where it's like, yeah, the kids can see their notebooks again or something like that because of the lighting. Like it's just those small things. So just take, bringing it down to a much smaller scale and saying, okay, these are impactful. These are really impactful, and um, making a difference. And uh, they it's such a big sort of untapped opportunity here with public entities, and using these funds to make those improvements, not only from the aspect of the reduced energy usage, but just saving money, having more, as budgets get tighter and tighter. These are, I think, absolutely crucial. And I keep, have meetings with folks that are like, this is, we needed this so badly. And so that's sort of, yeah, that's what's fulfilling, I would say, about this role.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, thinking about how I landed here, kind of my path that I feel like in many ways I'm just beginning. I graduated without too much, too heavy of a lean towards any one industry, but I knew that I wanted to be in the public sector. Um, and it was really through, the sentiment that Adam has kind of just displayed, that this office and this topic of energy conservation is at its core about infrastructure, and it's about investing, and it's about investing in the future, and how you um, make do with limited resources. That was really drew me in. And just kind of anecdotally, I am very fulfilled by working with schools. My mom is currently a public school teacher, and I remember how impactful it was that I think during my first week here in the office, I realized that we are financing at her school renovated HVAC. So that was just a cool, like, full circle moment. And it wasn't what got me through the door. I wouldn't have guessed that, but it's certainly contributed. And those kinds of stories have certainly contributed to what's kept me here.
Well, thank you both for what you do and what you do for the great state of Texas. And I have learned a lot about Lone Star program, and I hope that those of you who attended today have as well. And I appreciate all your time. And we haven't had any other questions, but I did put information in the chat regarding the application link for the SECO Lone Star program, as well as I found an older case study utilizing the Lone Star program for LED streetlight retrofits that Spear had put together some time ago. And oh, and we just got a question. So I also received a question about, will these slides be sent out? Yes, Adam and Benjamin will share their slides, and then we'll include that in our email to everyone, and we can also post them on the Spear website. We post all of these recordings on the Spear YouTube channel, which we have over 160 videos that I've also put the link in the chat as well. And then if anyone would like to hear more from SECO directly, Eddie Trevino will be presenting at our workshop in September, and I put the link in the chat. But here's one question. What feedback from local governments are you hearing from them on the PIAs? Specifically, is there a particular project that has started most often due to information received from the preliminary energy assessment?
Yeah, I can take this one. So I think this kind of gets at who the intended audience for a PEA is for. It's for people who really haven't identified anything yet. They're potentially new to this. Maybe they're a new energy manager for a district or something, but they really just want to know what they could do. Meaning that most UCRMs that are identified in a PEA, and what I mean by UCRM is most opportunities for savings. It's really that those low hanging fruit kind of opportunities. Um, Lighting is always very popular. It's so cheap to replace, easy to replace, and it can save. Again, it's just low hanging fruit. It can save a good amount of energy with not too much effort, relatively speaking. Every once in a while, you'll get something like they'll identify windows and these kind of opportunities that you don't immediately think of. I know that HVAC is the one that really comes to everyone's mind, but something like Windows is can be very simple, and they can do an analysis and see that, oh, your building is losing a lot of energy because your windows are just letting in so much sunlight, or they're not properly insulated. So I would say that the PEAs are best and kind of convert most to those low hanging fruit projects.
Great question, Joaquin. We really appreciate it. Well, without a further ado, thanks again. And we will see you guys next time, hopefully in person.